To say that the Saturday morning in Pontevedra for the 2023 World Triathlon Para Championships was a busy one was certainly an understatement. The visually impaired men were the first out into the water. All of the attention was on the British athlete Dave Ellis. Could he continue his incredible form in the visually impaired category? The staggered start meant that there were plenty in hot pursuit. But Ellis was up at the front as they were coming out of the water, along with a number of the fancied leaders. The British athlete working hard to get himself towards the front of the field, heading out onto the run. Thibaut Rigaudot, the Frenchman, trying to keep up with him. He was no match for Ellis, who made light work of the chasing pack, finding a near 50-second victory ahead of Rigaudot. Antoine Perel coming in third, leaving the French in second and third on the podium, but Ellis once again finding gold. In the visually impaired women's category, the attention was on Susana Rodriguez. She'd failed to find first for the first time since 2019 in Swansea earlier this year. Could she bounce back in the water, on the bike and out on the run? Retake a World Championship gold. She was up there with the leaders heading out onto the bike, and Rodriguez looked in her formidable form, but Francesca Tarantello was hot on her heels as they went out onto the bikes, and soon the Italian was out in the lead on the run. And she would never look back. Tarantello with a convincing performance from the youngster, perhaps the new face who is to be the leading lady of the visually impaired triathlon world. Rodriguez would have to settle for second, Anu Kurzilat, the Frenchwoman, coming in third. For the wheelchair men, all eyes were on Jets Platt. The Dutch athlete has an incredible record and continues to find victories across every level of wheelchair triathlon. However, there was a strong pack. Florian Brumgraber looking to stay right on the heels of the Dutchman for as long as possible. Gert Schipper as well, also up there, looking to lead the charge from the front. But it was Platt who was out and cruising when they got onto the bike. Schipper in hot pursuit with the orange helmet, and due to a flat on the run, it would be Schipper that would take gold, usurping his fellow countryman who was close behind, but not close enough. Elation for Schipper then, who capitalised on problems for both Platt and Brumgraber to take the victory. For the wheelchair athletes in the women's category, the attention is always on Lauren Parker. Her and Kendall Gretsch have a great rivalry stemming from the Tokyo Games, but Parker is so strong on the hand bike, and many fancied her on a fast and ferocious bike course to have a strong advantage throughout the wheelchair triathlon. And she was out at the front for a large part of it, relatively untouched for the majority of the race. A gold bike, gold helmet and gold chair, meaning she had to take gold, as she did the Australian. Kendall Gretsch coming in second in hot pursuit and always closing the gap. Jessica Ferreira, the Brazilian, making up the podium. In the PTS 5 category of the men, Martin Schultz and Stefan Daniel were the two to keep close attention on, although Chris Hammer, the American, was also in contention for the medals as they headed out into the water. The Portuguese athlete Filipe Marques too have been impressive this season. A silver at the European Championships in June, but no one could stop Schultz, the German, from taking the top spot on the podium. Daniel, the Canadian, closely following behind, but not close enough to be in contention of that gold medal. And the third spot on the podium, eventually falling to the American Chris Hammer. In the PTS 5 women's category, there's always a trio of athletes that are up there at the front. Grace Norman, Claire Cashmore and Lauren Steadman continue to battle it out for glory between the three of them. Norman, Steadman and Cashmore were always at the front and were all close together heading out onto the run, but it was Norman that put the hammer down, usurping the other two to take a healthy victory. The British pairing were close behind, with Cashmore followed by Steadman as they took the tape. In the PTS 4, 3 and 2 women's events, well, there were plenty that could find a victory. Else Mark, the fancied favourite in the PTS 3 category, and she was eyeing the PTS 4 times as she looked to see where she might land in the Olympics. An excellent finish as well from the Spanish contingent as Kelly Elminger in the PTS 4 category took gold, Marta Francis taking silver and Sally Pimblum taking the bronze. Else Mark in the PTS 3 category once more showing that she is a class above the rest when it comes to the PTS 3 section. And in the PTS 2 category, Hailey Dans, the American, continues to show that she is the one to beat. Anu Francis hot on her heels behind her, with Alyssa Seeley making up the top 3. In the men's PTS 4 category, the man to beat is Alexis Honkinkong. 6th in Abu Dhabi last November, the Frenchman looking to get back to the top step of the World Triathlon Para Championship Finals podium. And he led from the start and no one would get close. His fellow countryman Pierre-Antoine Bayle was trying to close the gap, but Honkinkong would not be stopped in Spain this year, taking the gold medal. Silver would go to his fellow countryman, who was closing the gap all the time, with only the road running out for his push, and the Croatian Antonio Franco with an impressive run of his own to find the 3rd spot on the podium. In the men's PTS 3 and PTS 2 categories, there are always 2 names on everybody's lips. Daniel Molina, the Spanish athlete in the PTS 3 category, looking to put on a show for the home supporters, while Frenchman Jules Ribstein is always the man to beat in the PTS 2 category. He would be closely followed by Mohamed Lana, the American, but the Frenchman wouldn't be denied in Spain, taking gold in Pontevedra. Lana would be just behind him, the American elated with his silver, Maurits Morsink picking up the bronze. Molina would make sure that Spain would have a gold medal in the Para Championships 2023. Closely followed by Max Geller, the German, to take 2nd, Cedric Denouzier of France, making up the last podium spot.